Friends, Namaskar and good evening. Welcome to this special briefing following the 17th ASEAN-India Summit, which has just concluded. We have with us Secretary East in the Ministry, Srimati Riva Ganguly Das, who is joined by Additional Secretary Indo-Pacific, Srimati Reenath Sandhu. May I invite Secretary to make her opening remarks, following which we'll take your questions. Over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, friends. Today, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi participated in the 17th ASEAN-India Summit at the invitation of the Prime Minister of Vietnam, Nguyen Xuan Phuc. Vietnam is the current chair of ASEAN. The summit, which saw the participation of leaders of all 10 ASEAN member states, was held online. ASEAN-India engagement has evolved over the years into a deep, robust and multifaceted partnership. ASEAN and India became summit-level partners in 2002 and strategic partners in 2012. The breadth of our partnership is covered by several dialogue mechanisms, cutting across various sectors like defense, cybersecurity, counter-terrorism, commerce, telecommunications, agriculture, energy, environmental issues, tourism, etc. As you all know, the annual ASEAN-India Summits provide the opportunity for India and ASEAN to engage at the highest level. The 17th ASEAN-India Summit is the 8th summit attended by Prime Minister Modi. He attended the 16th ASEAN-India Summit in Bangkok in November last year. Speaking at today's summit, Prime Minister underlined the centrality of ASEAN in India's Act East policy, which is a key pillar of our foreign policy. He noted that a cohesive, responsive and prosperous ASEAN is central to India's Indo-Pacific vision and contributes to security and growth for all in the region. Prime Minister underscored the importance of strengthening convergence between India's Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative and ASEAN outlook on Indo-Pacific to ensure a free, open, inclusive and rules-based Indo-Pacific region. He invited the ASEAN countries to take the lead on various pillars of our Oceans Initiative. On COVID-19, the Prime Minister stressed on leveraging strong ASEAN-India ties in the fight against the pandemic. He welcomed ASEAN's initiatives to fight the pandemic and announced a contribution of $1 million to COVID-19 ASEAN Response Fund. He also underlined the importance of cooperation and regular exchanges in the field of traditional medicines as a source of healthy and holistic living. Prime Minister underscored the importance of greater physical and digital connectivity between ASEAN and India and reiterated India's offer of $1 billion line of credit to support ASEAN connectivity. On digital connectivity, he noted the organization of ASEAN-India Hackathon. On trade and investment, the review of ASEAN-India Trade in Goods Agreement has been long pending. Prime Minister called for an early review of the agreement. He underlined the importance of diversification and resilience of supply chains for post-COVID economic recovery. On their part, the ASEAN leaders spoke of India as a long-term friend and dynamic partner. They acknowledged India's contribution in the region towards promoting peace and stability and welcomed India's support to ASEAN centrality. India's capacity building initiatives, including the PhD fellowships at IITs and setting up centers of excellence in software development in CLMV countries, that is Cambodia, Laos, PDR, Myanmar, Vietnam, was appreciated. ASEAN leaders welcomed India's role in enhancing digital and physical connectivity in the region. In this context, the report by Jakarta-based think tank, Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia, on eastward extension of the India-Myanmar-Thailand trilateral highway was noted as an important step in enhancing connectivity in the region. ASEAN leaders also underline the convergence between ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific and Indian Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative. The leaders also welcomed the adoption of the new ASEAN-India Plan of Action for the years 2021-2025. The discussions also covered regional and international issues of common interest and concern, including South China Sea and terrorism. Both sides noted the importance of promoting a rules-based order in the region, including through upholding adherence to international law, especially the UNCLOS. The leaders affirmed the importance of maintaining and promoting peace, stability, safety and security in the South China Sea, in particular freedom of navigation and overflight. Overall, it was a fruitful exchange with ASEAN leaders, and the summit was successful in bringing out the convergence between the two sides. ASEAN-India strategic partnership stands on a strong foundation of shared geographical, historical and civilizational ties. The summit will further strengthen this relationship.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to questions that we've received. We've received a set of questions. We've clubbed it together as per themes. The first set of questions are on Indo-Pacific. Suman Sharma wants to know, with so many nations coming out with their individual Indo-Pacific policy, Germany and France have taken the lead in EU, but India has always supported ASEAN centrality in the region. So will there be a combined Indo-Pacific initiative by ASEAN-India, taking other small groupings together under an umbrella grouping combining other nations into it also? Ranjit Kumar from Rakshat News says, India and ASEAN have similar visions on Indo-Pacific. Have the two sides discussed new measures to deepen maritime cooperation in Indo-Pacific region? Nanima from The Print, is the ASEAN region willing to have its own Indo-Pacific strategy, as that would mean alienating China? Ma'am, would you like to respond to this first set of questions?
Yeah, sure. As this subject has already been covered in the opening statement that I made, India and ASEAN share vast maritime space of the Indo-Pacific, and ASEAN is at the center of this maritime space. There is great convergence and synergy between our visions of the Indo-Pacific as articulated in ASEAN Outlook for Indo-Pacific and in our Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative. We seek to build on this convergence for maintaining peace, security and sustainable development of the ASEAN Indo-Pacific and ensuring security and growth for all in the region.
The second set of questions are on the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Takir from Yamuri Shimbam. 15 countries in the RCEP agreed to sign the long-awaited trade deal at a summit on Sunday. Reports say many countries have approached India to reconsider its decision and join RCEP. Will India return to RCEP in the near future? Devi Rupa from the Wire. Have ASEAN and Indian officials started the scoping exercise that is supposed to kickstart the review process for the FTA on goods? Will the actual review begin before the end of this year as India has requested? Sandeep Dikshit from the Tribune. Are there plans to engage RCEP partners in view of their plans to ink the pact on Sunday? Manish Jha from Business World. RCEP was discussed and expected to sign in the ASEAN summit. Was there any message from India on RCEP? Has India officially withdrawn from any dialogue from RCEP? Ma'am, would you like to respond to these?
Yeah, on RCEP, our position is well known. As far as India is concerned, we did not join RCEP as it does not address the outstanding issues and concerns of India. However, we remain committed to deepening our trade relations with ASEAN.
Then we have a set of questions on supply chain. Siddhant from Vion wants to know how keen ASEAN is for alternate resilient supply chains. Shankar from India versus Disinformation. Does India consider ASEAN as a part of to-be-formed supply chain mechanism? During the ASEAN-India virtual meet, whether issues related to defense and strategy were discussed. Please let us know.
The COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated the vulnerability of existing supply chains. It has made supply chain resilience an agenda of global focus, including that of ASEAN. Our response to this is reflected in the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat as articulated by the Honorable Prime Minister. It envisages making India an integral part of the global supply chains as well as promotion of international trade and commerce. Similarly, ASEAN has also released the ASEAN Comprehensive Recovery Framework to enhance collaboration in addressing the unprecedented challenges brought about by COVID-19. In keeping with this, diversification and resilience of supply chains was also a topic of discussion during ASEAN-India Summit today, and the leaders agreed to strengthen India-ASEAN trade ties and work together for post-COVID economic recovery.
Then, ma'am, there's a question from Siddhant from Yuan. How much Chinese aggressiveness was part of the conversation? Both India and Vietnam, which is the host of ASEAN, have been impacted by it. I'll take another related question from Manish Jha from Business World. Did any discussion take place in relation to South China Sea on the sanctity of UNCLOS in the wake of frequent skirmishes, mostly initiated by China?
Well, all regional and international issues of common interest and concern were discussed at the summit today, including the South China Sea. Both India and ASEAN agreed on the importance of maintaining and promoting peace, security and stability in the South China Sea. They reaffirmed the importance of upholding international law, including the 1982 UNCLOS, while ensuring freedom of navigation in and overflight above the South China Sea and ensuring unimpeded lawful commerce.
There's another question from Siddhant from Yuan. Anything on the renovation of common cultural heritage? He says India has been helping in the preservation of pagoda in several parts of the region. So his question is on what steps we've taken for renovation of common cultural heritage.
Well, as you know, India and ASEAN region enjoy a very long and historical cultural connect with each other. We indeed have civilizational links with each other. ASEAN region has several archaeological sites of great significance to both regions. India has been engaged in the restoration and preservation of numerous such heritage sites in ASEAN countries, especially in Cambodia, Laos, PDR, Vietnam and Myanmar, for which there has been very wide appreciation within the community.
There's a question from Gautam Lahiri, whether the present status of India-Myanmar-Thailand trilateral highway was reviewed during the summit.
As I mentioned in my opening statement, enhancing greater connectivity between India and ASEAN is one of the important pillars of India-ASEAN relation. We envision connectivity with the region in very broad terms, including physical, economic, political and digital connectivity. In this context, the leaders did discuss the strengthening of physical connectivity between the two regions and noted the study that I mentioned in the opening statement on the eastward extension of the trilateral highway to Cambodia, Laos, PDR and Vietnam, which was done by Jakarta-based think tank Economic and Research Institute for ASEAN, ERIA. The ERIA's report, which was noted at the summit, is being examined for implementation.
I don't see any further questions. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. And this concludes the special briefing.
Thank you.
We will resume very shortly with our weekly briefing.
Thank you. Thank you.